basically, how do we see this flexible learning? And lami gid kay itong face to face, but we're going to accept the fact that um that parang dili gyapon kaayo no, we are hoping, we're praying, we're wishing that COVID will go away in the next, I hope tomorrow, but wala gyud. So we have to I don't know, keep going. So the flexible learning modality is really based on Open Distance Learning Act. And sa una ramang gyud ay ni siya, no? Dili ni siya pareha sa una na kanang karon lang ni nato siya nagamit kay ano man siya kanang need sa ato ang sitwasyon, but really from 2014 we have been discussing about open distance learning. So basically pag sinabing distance education, it refers to a mode of learning in which students and teachers are physically separated from each other. It is student-centered, guided, independent study. These are words, no? Student-centered, so the focus is them, but it is a guided, independent study and making use of well-designed learning materials in various media. It is also sometimes described as flexible learning and distributed learning. So independent, and sana we're looking at maka-follow ang mga estudyante when they are on their own because there's no teacher na in front of them, ba? And when we're talking of so those are the highlight, no? So what are the guiding principles in planning for distance learning? Para may mas naaman tayo dapat guidepost. In everything we do, these are our principles atong gi-consider. One, in everything that we decide on, we know that courses should be carefully planned. All right? Subjects na atong gi-offer has to be carefully planned. And it has to be effective. That means there has to be some consistency among courses. And there has to be periodic review and evaluation. So, meaning that, let's take a moment right now to see ano kay kailangan natin improve of last year. At least naka 1 year na natay module. Ano kay kailangan natin i-improve in ensuring quality and consistency, no, with the curriculum. And what are other principles that we are considering when we are designing the curriculum? I mean, when we're designing the course module, as well as our flexible learning, that the course outcome assessment activities are integrated components of the assessment plan, meaning that when we wanted to design our course module, non-negotiable is the course outcomes. Ano nga ba yung course outcomes? Diba? The course outcomes, there are only 3 to maximum of 5 for a certain subject, of which the students, non-negotiable gid siya, na maskin pag face-to-face or karon, these are the abilities that they should be able to demonstrate at the end of the course. So kailangan bahalag, dili kayo sila maka-define, dili kayo nila ma-differentiate, dili kayo nila, but they have to construct something, they have to design something, they have to be able to relate to unsa baka. These are things that are kanang bahalag dili sila maayo aning mga maka-explain ani, but these are important for me that they should be able to show this, demonstrate this at the end of this semester. So pwede na din nato siyang i-recalibrate ang ato ang buong subject, but naatay mga non-negotiables, no? And what are other principles? That learning activities are organized around demonstrable learning outcomes. So if your learning outcomes is the students will be able to appreciate the history, parang that's difficult to demonstrate, diba? How are they going to appreciate history? So all the activities as well as our outcomes have to be very clear, so that we can design the activities that will help our students develop the skill, so that at the end of the semester, during the exam, during assessment, they'll be able to show you that they have learned. You know, mga ana. So other principles like the course modules has to comply with copyright law. No, kay murag lain man sad nga naatay gipanghatag sa mga estudyante tapos murag ma-viral na gyud ani kung kalit lang bitaw ma-discover nga gikopya dito sa ato ang mga kauban. So we're very particular with this because we are also very particular with our students. Even ang mga senior high, we don't accept papers that are beyond 5% ang na plagiarize. So they look for softwares. Kami po when we accept their papers, run through namo even their essays. They run through namo on a plagiarism checker. We're using Grammarly, and then pag mo marka dito na 13% plagiarize among ginauli sa mga estudyante, no. Actually dapat maano man to sila na-evaluation, but of course we're still molding them in senior high mga ana. But really this is the principle and this is the assumption that our faculty, when we are developing the course module, that we do not violate the copyright law, no, na dapat dili kinopya na mga kuan. And then maskin pa og gikopya nato tapos ato ang gyapong gibutang ang site, if we did not rephrase, if we did not write it according to how we understood, that is still plagiarism. And so one of the principles that we have an expectation is that the institute should communicate the copyright and intellectual property policies or the law to the faculty and staff. And that is good that we are coming together here, the president and the vice president and all the deans and the academic heads join forces in this session so that we all know that we are not supposed to violate the copyright law, no? And then of course another principle, ownership. So usahay kung kita tanan naghimo ani na module, who's going to own what? Unsay order. So if there is a policy on that has to be clear. Kaya daghan na nag-away anang ako'y nagsulat tanan. So ako ra ni, pero ingon tang isa naman sa ko'y gi-contribute. Ako may nag-edit. So dapat sabutan siya especially if daghan kayo ang create sa create sa module. Pero kung medyo friends man lang mo, like for example, I'm gonna share with you, no, we have a module that I'm gonna share. Sem, second sem, unom limaga, kamaistra gatanaw. But most of the time, medyo mas taga na ako ang naghimo. But kami tanan, equal amo ang names. Why? Because of course, they help me approve. They help me see what is missing. Kahit murag ako ang writer, they help me also see how to improve. I also discuss with them. So depende pa rin sa team kung unsa, but it has to be very clear from among all of us. One of the things that we have to consider when we're writing a module, una, is the media chosen should be pedagogically effectual and accessible to students. So when we put in the course module certain LMS or certain learning management system, murag man maka-access kay murag ang mga bata asam sila gikan, no? And it has to consider the different learning style, has to also sensitive with the time and the place, and of course the limitations of learning management system that's powered by Moodle. But of course, we have students na cellphone lang ang gamit, tapos galisod og access diri. What we do is we back up with a Facebook group. Naamang goy Facebook group na ang iyang dating is murag yapon siya og LMS. So ginabuhat namo kung unsang makita dani tapos di siya makalusot, pwede siya diri sa Facebook because of course you know that Facebook requires minimum data, di ba? Or gamay lang gid yung data. And then katong mga links sa exam, we use Google Form. Of course, naa to sa LMS, but naa po diri sa nga pwede ra ma-text. Tapos pwede makasubmit ng estudyante because we consider the students' limitations and their connectivity, no? And of course, there has to be some sort of a technical support. And because we are flexible learning, itong mga student services, library services, guidance, and everything, kailangan to siya mag-shift, no? Kay distance man ang modality. So again, flexible learning course is not simply the replication of face-to-face. We have to see this in a lens that is not face-to-face. So kung ang ato ang ambition sa una is murag quiz every day when we were in the face-to-face, when unsa to siya napulo gid ka bo quiz in a term, then 20 ka quiz in a semester, katong face-to-face, kailangan po nato siya usabon because it's flexible learning. Dili bitaw nga kanang murag na online lang siya tapos murag face-to-face gid tanan ang paagi. We have to recalibrate. So it's not face-to-face, but we have to provide an equivalent experience, and at the same time we have to also not parang compromise the standard. So same standard, but maybe in a different way of assessing. So the activities must encourage interaction. Dili gid dapat mawala ang interaction between teacher and student, and the student and the content, and the student between other students. No, when we are designing our course module. So consider alternative means in case there are concerns with technology. And of course, tanan ni siya when we are designing the flexible learning course, it involves creating module. Hindi po pwedeng video ra katanan wala kay module. No? And content is divided into digestible pieces. I highlighted that because that is very important for us to consider. Digestible pieces po. No, na kung pwede mas digestible pieces pa siya kaysa katong face-to-face, no? So these things, no, the faculty's task right now is carried by our module. Wala naman gyud tay face-to-face, no? The physical presence of the teacher is replaced by the learning material. In the past, kitang help determine what is to be learned. We provide the information, we give the examples, but who's gonna do that now? It's the module. The module will do determining what is to be learned. The module will provide the information. The module will give the examples. So in the module, it's gonna do the explaining. The module will do the questioning. And the module will set learning tasks. So it's really the module that is murag mo replace a teacher. Of course, ato niya po na iklaro nga, di man din ma-replace a teacher. But in this modality, maura tong hawiran sa mga estudyante. So sana inigbasa niya, mabasa niya, madunggan niya ang teacher. Murag na siya, there's a certain, because that's a challenge, no, of flexible learning. The students create that voice. Unlike atong naa ang maestra din sa iyang atubangan, madunggan din niya ang maestra. But here, it's the module. So, kung mubasa siya module sa yun ba, o mura gaininsik ang iyang paminaw, mga ana, no? Providing marks. So, ang module mismo, ang usahay, maghatag og feedback, maghatag og other resources, mga ana, no? Kung dili kay nako makuha ni siya nga libro kani, di kay nako masabtan, unsay other alternative kanay watch a video. It's the module who will provide that. Another that the module will do for us teachers is on giving how to be successful in studying the module. Kasi in the past, kita man naghatag ani no, kanang how to study, how to kay lain-lain man gud ko no ang pag-study sa kada subject. And we believe that studying is a skill, but really when you come to think of it, nag-expect lang ta ang mga estudyante nakabalo na sila sa study skill. Actually, murag wala, no? Ang ga-succeed lang sa college is katong naka-develop of study skills. So who's teaching study skills? No one. We're just expecting that. And so sometimes kita gyud ang mag-ingon og how to best study this particular subject so we can help our students. And the module is the one clarifying possible confusion or misconception. Remember tong sa una na face-to-face ta kita man gyud ang kaniha mao gyud ni ang importante kay daghan na sayop ani. But who's going to do that? Wala naman. It's the module na basahon. So, di ba kita kung mag-atubang ta sa mga estudyante, dili man siguro tag-istorya of 50 pages, but how come the module is several pages? Siguro, unsaon pag-istorya nga masabtan maano naatanan sa module. So that's the ano no that's the beauty of the module, and that's the relevance of the module in a distance learning. So again, ang uban kahit nag-distance learning, require silang mga estudyante og online na mag-discuss gid siya kay di pa siya gihimog module. So ang punto mong good kay, di ba kabalo ta nagalisod ato mga estudyante, sige tag-require na magkikita sa ila. So let's think about the empathy ba, teaching with empathy. Bation ginato itong mga estudyante na dili sila to be able to connect, they need 50 pesos for your 2-hour lecture. Parang ana. So let's prepare a module, no? The distance education. Walay distance education na walay module unless it's called an online class, no? Nganong module, and why not give a textbook or a handout? Because the module katuno mura siya og ikaw nag-istorya, nakig-connect, imo siyang gi-design. Di ba pag nata sa klase na may mga preliminary questions, that's what we do in our class. Preliminary questions. And then ato siyang i-lead into, and then ahead nato ipagawa sa mga definition, ahead nato sila tagag another activity, and then ato din sila tagag, why don't we try this? So see, you realize that's why you have another method. Diba kung libro is not designed to explain like how teachers explain. A book is a reference. A book is just a resource. It is not designed to be a module. And much more, of course, the handout. No? So what is a module? Magsugod sa tanong, what is a module? So ang module is an instructional section of your course that is self-contained, naka-chunk, no? And it is commonly in a week's length, no? Kung makaya og weekly karon ma-chunk mas okay, no? Murag weekly pero pwede sad nga tanan na nahatag in one semester, pero weekly ang pag-digest sa mga estudyante nato, no? Mga ingana. So this time, thank you for saying that you still want to see how to develop a module first. So now we are going to and then me will share on how do we really develop a course module. Number one, we have to begin with the prepared, redesigned syllabus. So prepare your redesigned syllabus. Ganun kailangan natin i-redesign ang syllabus? Because the syllabus that we had in the past was really for the face-to-face. So bakit kailangan i-redesign for the flexible learning? Because again, dili siya face-to-face. Second, daghan kayo ang kailangan natong pilion. Pwede na ba na ako i-delete ang mga kuan? Pwede na ba na ako i-delete ang kanina mga topics? Kasi po, hindi po pwedeng as loaded as, alright. Okay, so redesign your syllabus because you have to consider that this is not face-to-face. And so we have to look at the topics. Dapat dili siya grabe ka-loaded. Only the topics that are very essential. Ito yung kailangan natin ma-differentiate, ha. There are topics and there are outcomes, learning outcomes that are nice to know, nice to develop, but really not very essential to know. And only you, the expert in the field of the discipline, can be able to determine that. No? Kung kinsa tong teacher na nag-teach ana, sila man gyud ang best maka-determine. IT, for example, wala pwede maka-dictate kay kung expert siya ra man gyud ang makakuan. Kani pwede na ni wala, pero kani dili pwedeng wala. Because from the face-to-face, you have to change and redesign your syllabus. Drop some of the topics. It cannot be nakatong atong sa face-to-face na maurgid gyapon karon sa tuang flexible learning. Dili gid siya makaya. No? Okay? Sige. So remember that in your course syllabus, it has to align. You have a curriculum map. And so, di ba, nag-anak ta din in these are the program outcomes. Program outcomes are outcomes of your students that they should be able to demonstrate at the end of the 4 year. And then nag-anak da yung tanga kani siya nga subject. It has to kani siya nga program outcome is dapat ma-enable niya, 'di ba? And so dapat ang mugawa sa course syllabus is aligned to your course curriculum map. And so maski pag nang wala na kag mga topics, the course outcomes are non-negotiable, no? We are not redesigning the curriculum, or we're not revising the curriculum. We are just redesigning the course syllabus. So there has to be a constructive alignment, no, from your course outcomes. What students, mga non-negotiable gini siya, mga at the end of the semester, mag-unsa-unsa mga estudyante na aman siya dili makuha nga quiz or maunsa, kaniging tulo makakuan siya, maka-design, maka-propose, maka-recommend, ana baka there are 3. So if you have already identified that, it's easy to determine what assessment tools and approaches we are going to ask, no? Kung if the students should be able to propose, the students should be able to design ang imo at the end of your course mode or at the end of your semester, then katulang ang pwede i-assess, no, mga opportunities for the students to show you that they're able to design, and opportunities for students to show you that they're able to propose something or recommend something or use a particular management theory to be able to come up with a proposal or whatever, no? Yun lang. So I'll give an example, no? Ito favorite na example ko gito. Rizal, kay mga hugot na ko nino, mga Rizal, and then ang sa Rizal, siguro ang pinaka course outcome sa akong paminaw lugar, no, nga, as a young person, I should be able to unsa man be able to appreciate or learn or emulate the principles and unsa man of Jose Rizal, and be able to kanang kung buhi pa si Rizal karon, siguro ako mga thoughts, mga advocacy is like Jose Rizal, mga anak. So dapat ang mga siguro karon, no, mga assessment is if you're going to be with Rizal right now, what do you think is his Facebook post regarding the West Philippine Sea? Nandito dayon maski West Philippine Sea ang issue, ang mga prinsipyo ni Rizal and mga thoughts glaring that one. That's what you're checking if they really got si Rizal. So pero unsa man kasagara gibuhat, nag-role play sila. Pag role play nila, ang highlight lang is pila ka bukuyab ni si Rizal. Then ang comment na rin sa atong mga teacher is pangit kang lights, no, niya, di kay gwapa si Josephine Bracken. So parang there's a disconnect between really the course outcome and really the assessment that we want our students to demonstrate that they have learned the outcome supposed to be. And it has to align with the teaching and learning activities. Unsa man gyud ang teaching and learning activities, these are the topics as well as the activities that you're asking them to do, to go through, so that when you assess them, when you want to determine if they have learned, they will then be able to demonstrate the course outcomes. So in the syllabus, these are the approved curriculum, no, that dictates the content, the resources, and not the other way around. Kanang kung unsa tong course outcomes and program outcomes, dili pwede na murag namili ka daan og mga resources kay paborito nimo or mga topics, gimanipula na lang dayon ang course syllabus. So those, no, I'm sure para pareho ra ta og mga course syllabus og look, kay mo man siyang mga required is if we are an OBE classroom. So when we're developing a course module, the literacy level of our students as well as their ICT skills are also determined, no, are also considered. Kasi if we want our students to to use this particular app or to use this particular technology, but wala sila availability, lisod din ang sitwasyon, or when you are developing your curriculum and then you're asking them, I want you to go to the barangay and interview. We have to also consider kung base mag-GCQ, ma-MGCQ, ma-MCQ ba. So those are the consideration when you're no. And when we're looking at the course module, it has to be in the logical structure and self-contained, comprehensive, and of course we wish that it is coherence. Pero ang pangutana is unsa man gyud ang sulod sa module B. Mao lugar ni based on research ang kasagara sulod sa isa ka module. But you can also, I'm sure you have a different set, but lain-lain siguro pangalan. Mao ni sila ang common in USTP. Ito yung mga common na ginagawa namin, no? We call it objective if it is high school, no, or competency, but sa college ang tawag naman is ILOs. So you can change that. Some will include pre-test, but some will have an engaging activity una. And then, of course, the presentation of the new materials. And then the exercises, on saan lang apply, and then the post-test and the references or the additional resources. So what we're going to do now is run you through ano gi importante ni sila na mga part ug unsa mga examples, no, from my team. Kay mga maestra man sa Japan, no? Specifically me, na medyo na ako'y senior high, then katong senior high is napod ni same nga hatag we also help design the module in the design thinking of College of Technology, and I also teach in the PhD. So first part in the module is, of course, there has to be course details, no? So weekly module, yeah, for students to easily follow, such as this one. This is a module that we that we help mentor or coach at the College of Technology because they specifically make it part of their curriculum, the design thinking. So course details, no? You notice that na ay course code, na ay course title, para medyo dili magka Then of course na ay kano sa niya SEM sa nga school year, unsa ni nga module, unsa na mga dates iyahang covered ani, so that the students will be able to follow. So course details, it gives an overview, not gives an over the introduction and the rationale, then follows. This is part of the module. Give an overview, and of course you can also ask students to take a pretest, no, with it could be online pretest, it could be like that. So there has to be an introduction, no, dili pwede na module topic 1 tapos murag ang topic ay murag gikan ra sa libro gipang taplak-taplak lang. Again, gasturya ang module sa mga estudyante. So, have an introduction, or you can call it the rationale of this module. So, sa ako ang module naman, this week's module will help you clarify. So, I'm really talking to the student in the module. It is important that as a future innovator, we conduct observation and draw. It is suggested that you do the activity, no? Mga ingana. So give an overview muna of what is expected, what is this module all about. Ito yung ating second part, no? This is an example of our module. This is just recent that I made in, for qualitative research. So na ay mga, para kanang dili to kay super ka-textual, na mga cartoon, na mga, kanang mga comics. So, but point here is I'm talking to the student. Have you identified the research area and you and your students to focus on? Some of you may have an idea on a topic. However, as we proceed to more, because that was also taking off from the other module. So, murag naapod ko direct. After identifying this topic, it is then time to do background information about the concern, the issue, because this module is about the writing your related literature. So if you notice the last line, what and how to write an RRL will be discussed in this module. So they know what we are going to expect for this module. But I'm gonna tell you na in the past, katong mga bago-bago pamigahimog module, sa talas kay mga module, and then we realized some of the students are not really reading. Dito sila sa quiz, dito sila dapit sa activity, asa dapit ang ang isubmit mga ingana. So na-realize gyapon namo nang gadiri-diretso na mo mga module, no? Again, on the introduction. So usually in the introduction, usahay, this is an opportunity nga ginatuhog-tuhog na ako ang mga modules, no? Look at this. This is module 5 to 7 already. So parang, so that medyo makonect sa mga estudyante tanan, I would say for our module 1, ito yung ginawa nyo, di ba? For module 2, ito yung emphasis, right? So at this stage, you notice that at this stage, some of you may have realized that though the end user, mga ganun. So give the overview. And then of course, I said, in this module, 5 to 7, so pag maana siguro mo, ay pero ako weekly. So na yung mga part nga, we also realize na one shot, pang 3 weeks siya, kay muraglain na siya putlon. Okay, because it's the entire activity and naa din siya heavy na requirement within the module. So that covers, we're also looking at, dili lang man kita lang ang subject, no? So we're also looking at, kung buhaton is mga estudyante, if pang equivalent to 3 hours ako ang class, siguro I'll consider na getting the feel 1 hour. Dapat pang magtrabaho sila, dili mo abot og murag imo lang subject ang ilang giatubang, no? Kaya na yung mga activities daw, yung mga estudyante, mga good for 10 hours na ilar ang subject parang ingana. So again, the focus, no? Murag mo nang ano karon. So after we give the introduction and the rationale, then we write the intended learning outcomes. We have to tell the students what is expected of them. We have to tell our students what is expected of them. No? What exactly is the expected, tell students what skills, knowledge, etc. they will demonstrate at the end of the week. Diba? Just like in our class during the face-to-face, pag magsugod ta, we always say, okay, for this session, at the end of my lecture, you are going to do what? Usually I do that, no? For this session and the next session, I will do a lecture. I'm going to expect that you're going to demonstrate to me on how to construct la. And then my estudyante, na di ay ipabuhat group work. And then you will see na grabe na rin sila maminaw, no? Kay naa na may kay saktong humanak lecture na maingon na din og okay, you are going to do what? Diba maingon man taw sahay og dapat gignan gawin mo din expected. So again, intended learning outcome. So we write that after the introduction. At the end of this module, you should be able to, ano pong kailangan i-demonstrate nila? Kailangan maka-differentiate sila between an observation and insight, that to give their observation. So you notice that I'm using the word you because it is personal. At the end of this module, you should be able to. In my other module, I also wrote there, you and your team. So tell students what skills and knowledge they will demonstrate at the end of the module. No? And sometimes na ako'y lain a way of writing it. At the end of this week, ask if your research group have done this. It's the same. Or at the end of this module, dapat maunin yung checklist that you've reflected on last week's activity, that you have revised, finalized RRL, that you have created a research purpose, that you have constructed research questions, that you've met with group mates at least 2 research meeting sessions. And ito yung mga expected output. So sometimes I vary the way I write, but you notice it's still addressed to them. No? Sometimes in Anish at siya direct. Intended learning outcomes, conduct interviews and identify roles. You have to evaluate the interview experience and you have to propose recommendations for a better interview scenario. So tell students what is expected of them. And usually, sometimes when they look at that, tanaw-tanaw gamay sa introduction, ato din sila sa kung asa tong activity. So akong gabuhaton, I do not assume that they nga ilag itong gibasa tanan. So even on the activity part, na ako'y gina-repeat dito nga, remember that in the above, we discussed on, may mga ganun, no? So, sometimes I write the intended learning outcomes this way. Eyes here and make sure you read this part, what to expect for this module then. For the next 2 weeks, you are going to share your experience. You will not you will now begin to collaborate. You together with them, will craft your project statement. You together with your groomers will interview end users. Mga ganun, no? Mga for the next 2 weeks. So parang walang gulatan na mangyayari. And so that one, no, you have to tell them what they are expected to do in the next 2 weeks. Sometimes ilan man ang mga checklist. You can also do a pre-test. There are institutions na in every course module ga required din sila of pre-test, no? Sa amin naman, depende if you see the need. But it's also very nice. You begin with an engaging activity. Dili bitaw automatic topic, but of course there are times na topic diretso ano. So usually I also use this, no, there's an activity 1. So naami mga ingani nga mga icons because we're also emphasizing na sa graduate attributes kani na activity is gagamit siya og teamwork and collaboration and gagamit siya critical thinking. So parang among us, or even sa among ang mga stakeholders, makita diretso na what is the expected graduate attributes. No? So, pwedeng after the ILO, activity dahil diretso, wala lang sa topic. So, I place there. On each of the stick-ons, you will see in the next pages, write your observations from the picture below. 1 stick-ons, 1 observation. So, in the next page, moraging ani lugar, kaysa face-to-face, kay naamantay katong post-it unta. Pero kanina sa ilang kuan, no? They can write and all that. So I would say do not proceed to the next page without completing the activity. So it's more of the realizations and all that. And did you know when we evaluated this module, as we said, we're going to evaluate our module, we're going to evaluate the flexible learning that we implemented. Now, when we evaluated, what was the highlight of your learning in this entire SEM? Kabalo ba mo na kani siya nga topic ang perminti kagawas? Because I think it's because of the way we designed the module na kanang grabe kaayo ang pagpa-emphasize na when we ask for observation lang, do not judge first. Muraging ana gani, because that's very important. So it was about haran din namo gi-present ang differences between observations and insights. Hada ni siya, no, topic na gini siya katong the usual topic nato na kuan. And then after the topic may pagka look at the video. So let me emphasize, when we ask our students to watch video, it is just an additional resource. It is not that they cannot understand the topic if they cannot watch that. That's just an additional. Kaya remember, dili gyapon tanan maka-access sa YouTube, no? Pero kung maka-access sila, the better good if they wanted to. But that's why all the discussions and all the necessary that they're going to learn is in the module and enhanced by the video and enhanced by I will meet you during Zoom. I will meet you Facebook Live. I will my colleagues, no, this one I got from my colleagues talaga. Pag naa sila'y makita na, murag na ay concept na gakalibog mga estudyante, naa sila'y 30-second na i-video. Let me emphasize that, and then they send it to the students' group chat. And it helped the students, and the students appreciated that because aside from, they felt there's a teacher, aside from the module, di man po pwede na module lang. Kailangan ma-feel ka sa mga estudyante. So, munang na ay Facebook Live usahay na mag-ano ka or mag-Zoom ka tapos mag-record or there's available video on your YouTube so they would see. And of course, katong personal touch on the group chat via Messenger. So again, so ingani pagka-design, no, and then there's the activity 2 and then na din mo, mga ala. No? And then now, balikan dayon tong una na activity. Now that you learn between the difference, now that you learn the difference between observation, insight, and samandayon. So let's talk about just the design. So what did you learn? So dapat, di ba, just like in our classroom, dapat na ay murag, Aha, sayop di ay ko. And so, kung ana manggod daw na, according to research, kung ana manggod daw ng murag na ay misconception, and then gi-present, mas lubong daw kuno kaayo ang ano no learning sa mga students. So again, activities that are not graded also are encouraged. So ano, pag sinabing students activities, dili tanan graduhan, no? Dili tanan graded. Naay ka ng activities and ano ang mga estudyante na post on social media, tag your teacher or use the hashtag, no? Pwede man nimo sila dili friends, pero pag gamiton nila ang hashtag and then ask them to public their post, and then when you click the hashtag, mugawas na ng mga posts related to that hashtag. So, parang dili tanang ano no, dili tanang questions or unsa dapat graduhan. Engage them, interact with them. So I have this, but this one is in the Facebook group, but there's another activity that I asked them to create their own version of the Rebus puzzle, because we were talking about critical and creative thinking outside of the box, and that was one of those. And so they post on Twitter, they tag me, or they just write the hashtag so that I can search for them, and bibo ka ay sangatanan. But akong ginaklaro, this is not graded. Para klaro lang mi, no? Nga mga expectations. So aside from engaging activities, then you present your your learning activities or your topics na gyud, presentation of the new material. So regardless of unsa na mga term, no, kaning term na learning activities man siyang usual nga nagigamit, but in my university we say presentation of new materials. Pero ginabutang ya no, topic 1, or what exactly is the topic. And of course after the learning activities, the exercise to apply, to practice, and the synthesis, no, mga ingana. So let me show you an example of what is in my module in terms of showing students some examples. Kasi nga, di ba, wala namang guta dito. So kailangan klaro kayong mga examples. So examples on kanang research survey, mga ana. Tapos murag kanina yung mga bubble diri. Mo lugar niya ako ang imbis nga murag nag-check ka gyapon tag how to sure murag niya ako mga comment. This is an example, and you have to assure your respondents that whatever they share, then another interview questions. Ask your question, ask follow-up, kasi interview guide man ni siya, mga ingana. So murag madunggan gyapon nila nga na ako'y example ko, no, pero na ako nung ko'y comment diri sa kilid. No, remember, we are not there. Sila gid mismo na. So it has to This is an example of content module. Ako ang estudyante kasi I'm a UP OU student until now, no? Na gina-enroll na ako, and they're using distance learning, and a lot of the ideas that I got on how to create module, I learned it as a student, and of course the theories that I got, because my program there is Masters in Distance Education. So it's this, no? So unsa ang example, in your module dapat na mga figures, na mga diagrams, na din activity. So ingani ang activities akong professor na activity 1, there are ana. And to help understand, isulod din niya, then read more on this, mga ana, no? And then apoy mga examples in tables, no? Para klaro. And of course, not an engaging activity. So we read this, and then we reflect on this, and then we do this activity. So some of that is dili good necessary nga amuag yung isabit. Reflect on this. Pero kaning activity 1, answer on the discussion forums. So kailangan na sa mo basag yun. So na mga activity na murag dili lugar kunuhay kay siya grabe ka rigid, but our teachers will be able to determine, our professor will be able to determine if we have read mga then mga required readings and other resources on the module. Should you need to read more, mga ingana. And of course, some readings and other resources. This one is in the module of katong ako ang ano no research. So I said, how do you begin researching and doing a review of related literature? Again, I explained the how to, but naapagid ko yung mga additional resource on video. So should they need to learn more, they click the link there. So the link is, and the picture para makabalus lang, mauday nito ila i-expect, is already on the module, no? So some, I write there, no, you notice here, nag-check ako, no, the reference is there. No, nag-check ako din na i-reference. No, because again, we don't want to be, kanang murag ma-judge ta nga, naatay, nag-plagiarize ta. Maing ala. Okay? So focus on your topic, focus on active learning and moving away from the usual lecture model. And so consider a mix of robust discussions, collaborative work, no, collaborative work. Kailangan importante pa rin that we develop in our students that they collaborate. That's very, very challenging this time. No, pero again, whether there's pandemic or not, one of the 21st century skills that we have to teach our students is that kabalo sila collaborate with one another. Remember, wala gid gyapon ganahan na tao kung grabe kay ka-bright pero di ka kabalo makig-work with others. So even if natay cum laude, pero pag na siya sa trabaho, isuka siya sa iyang team, di pa rin gyapon siya pwede. So we have to, and that collaboration and teamwork is a skill. We have to provide our students that opportunity na kabalo sila makikollaborate. No? And then, of course, a mix of video and audio clips in the module, as I have shown, and some hands-on exercises and some individual work time. So sometimes, dili man tanan module, tapos na ako'y, na ako'y video. So I'll show you an example of my video. No? Kani sa akong PhD.
Hello, my DTE students. For this session, we will review a bit of our previous discussion on simple linear regression, and then we move to the main topic, which is multiple linear regression. So, in our previous discussion, we have had discussion on simple linear regression. Here, let's just say, for example, we have this, no? And this is our regression model. So height is equal to 0.1877 times an age plus 31.019. So we all know that with our simple linear regression, we had only one variable, which is what you call an explanatory variable.
Okay, so aside from the module, I also send to my students. Sometimes I post it on the Facebook group. No, for our senior high and for our college, we post it on Facebook group because mas dali man sa Facebook group, no? Mas ma-access siya, tapos dili kay siya kailangan og daghang daghang data. So ang pag-support sa estudyante sa understanding, you know why we paningkamutan ako ang Facebook o kadang video. Because I get this from I got this even from my PhD and some of my senior high students. Sila nga ganahan minay video, ma'am, kay kanang maski amo ito siya ibalik-balik, ma'am, di man siya masapot, di siya so remember, our students, they do not have the same ability to grasp the material. Some pwede kaning ingani check capture na kuha na, some kay murag so kailangan og video, and it's the same, no, for adults. That's the reason why every after ang CiTL maghatag og training, we really have a recorded session sent to the participants as well, because especially kanang naata sa balay na busy kog diaper, ang kuan din wala din. So we also acknowledge that, and it's same with our students, no? Ang mga estudyante daw, pag naa sila dili kay mag-getch na concept, ila dong hinayon o sa ilang ipahinay, kaya di ba naman ang video na ang pace niya, time something something, mga ingana, no? Okay? So, ana. So, in the course module, the more interactive, the better. Remember that we also develop questioning, we also provide teaching learning activities as well as formative assessment. So, nako mga ingani na mga activity. No? Ask one classmate to complete this activity with you. My name is, now I'm working with, sulat yung mga ngalan. No? Ginaklaro sad nako dana na you may choose any classmate you are comfortable sharing your answers with. You may discuss, compare, and show each other's responses. You may come up with the same matrix A as well as if you do agree. So, na din mga i-anticipate nato na question. May a student be requested by more than one of his answer? Yes, it is okay. Sometimes I place there, do this because I'm going to ask you maybe during our Zoom meeting to for consultation to tell me what are your answers, but these are not necessarily going to be submitted to me and all that, no? So mga ing-ani lugar na yung mga, and then this one is for the research where we use Google Doc. So isa ra ka document no, di sila sige submit sa ako isa ra ka document ang ilahang itrabaho while marag running document on Google Doc. So there are 9 groups in my class. So usar gid siya ka 9 groups ra akong tan-awon, and then as the module unfolds and the semester unfolds, katong buong Google Doc nila gakausab-usab to no, na kakadugangan because I put template on the module aning ana. So dili bitaw kayo ng sige sila submit, but of course I think that's only for research and na subject. Mga ingani dayon, pitch, what is pitch, mga ingani no? And then mga ani na mga subjects. So na yung mga times in the module na parang mako yung mga do not proceed to read the next topics until you are done with the above activities because baka ma-overwhelm ka. So ako ginagibutang, so you will not get overwhelmed so that what you will be reading will make sense. Kasi if you're reading the next and you have not even done the ones on top on making sure you've interviewed and all that, murag ma-overwhelm, dili na din kakasabot nga nung daghan man kayo nina. And this is design thinking that I'm talking about. And so sometimes I ask my students to use an app so they can collaborate remotely. Remember katong during the time that they were doing face to face, dali ra gid kayo ani di ay anak karon kay lisod na magi kay tuwa siya sa Tagulwa, nag-isa tuas Lagindingan, unsa nila pag-istorya, diba? And so as facilitators, we also have to show to students that is possible, and the first world country have done that the designer is in America and the other designer is in Europe. And this is not the first time, but of course the pandemic and this situation is first time in the Philippines. So we have to show that they can still do and they can still collaborate, no, amidst the distance. So I'm going to show you what we shown to the students in terms of their collaboration. Okay? Ani po.
Hello students, before we start the demonstration of the Affinity Clustering, let us first take a look.
So before they go so again, as I've shown you, we have a team. We have a team, no, making the module. So na yung mga times na part of the team kay lima may unom dai may maestra tag isa mig section. And then adan mi ikaw magimo ning video ha kay kuan man kanang kani imong part and so kani akong friend si Mr. Boris was tasked to demonstrate to our students. And kabalo ka nang dili lang ikaw nag-iisa. Siya nag-demo, siya naghimo sa video. Then that's across all our students. Diba? It saves time. So collaboration is also demonstrated by the faculty and the professors themselves. Ito yung dinemo niya to our students. So our students will start collaborating wherever they are.
Hello students, before we start the demonstration of the Affinity Clustering, let us first take a look at these photos flashed on your screen. you have seen at the moment are the photos from our student leaders who performed clustering with their team during the Learning Express training last year. So to start, if you have your cell phone, tablet, or iPad with you, start downloading the Miro app through your App Store or Play Store. Or if you are using your laptop, just simply visit www.miro.com. This application is useful for the Affinity Clustering, where you can work together with your team synchronously or asynchronously. After downloading the application, make sure to sign up or log in so you can start using the application. In your dashboard, just click New Board to open the digital whiteboard. You can invite your group mates to join with you by simply clicking the share button and copy invite link and send the link to your teammates, and don't forget to allow them to edit so that they can collaborate with you. Now that you have completely set the Miro app, let us start the Affinity Clustering in order to get the real need statement of our primary users. In your digital whiteboard, let us start to write our project statement. So here is the sample. How can we help the employees in their workplaces for them to be more efficient and productive? And then we will gather all the data from the interview. We will start to transcribe all of the statements in verbatim. So here you will see the sample of the transcribed data. From observation and interview data, write down points that you think are interesting or significant. Example, comments, a story or quotation from your interviewee, observations you made. Write one data point per post-it note. Do not summarize or interpret. Use word for word as spoken by the interview. So here, we write in our light yellow sticky note the sample. Here are the samples. I am always giving my best in my work, but I think my boss does not recognize my efforts. I always practice being cautious whenever I use the things in the office because most of them are kind of expensive and have no labels of who owns such. To make one need statement for each insight. It should not be too generic and not too specific. It should have a purpose and has no tangible words in it. So it begins with an I need. So its constructions is like the end user is talking or first person. So we have here, I need to feel connected and associated with my workmate.
Okay. So parang dinidemo lang yan, no? So these kaning mga post-it, usahay ang mga friends nga nasa Taguluan, ang isa nasa Lapasan, ang isa nasa Lagindingan, nasa Iligan, sila ang ga-move ana, no? Sila ang gaano, tapos diha sila ga-checka og I think our interview says like this, like that, like that. Napoy uban nga wala pa sila siguro sa insakto na mode. Ang gawaton sa bibo kada mga students, no, ang gawaton na sila ang tig-change sa color, sila tig-move. Sumurag ang isa gasulat tas ang post-it kay ga-move ba. And they're having fun and they're able to brainstorm. And did you know na even if dili na kani nga subject, even if ang subject is lahi na, they made use of this in their brainstorming. So sometimes it's also a good thing to share to students, make them be aware na may mga technology that has been used by already designers abroad na karon magamit na yun nato in this situation. Then of course they screenshot this, they send it to me. It's part of the submission because of course it makes us see an authentic brainstorming product, no? Product of the brainstorming. So mga ana, and of course ana din tong mga they rate their collaboration and all that. Sige. So again in the creating module, you can also upload it on YouTube. Natay mga kauban, I'm sure natay mga kauban na mga YouTube channel ba? I don't know if I can click this. I've been doing this for quite some time already. Let me just see if I can share that. Let me see.
Everything until the last data. All right, and then go to data, go to sort
subscribers because the
here,
point here is
and
for
then
my
go to
students.
type of school. Okay, so that they are automatically arranged. Okay, again, you have to highlight everything because if you only sort this,
So even during the before the pandemic, I've been I don't know, I've been uploading mga videos because ako I believe that when I demo a certain software, mga ing-anaan, what to click and like that, I know na dili ko dali makuha sa mga estudyante, no? And so murag yan ano kanang dapat natay technical support to them. So in the past gina-upload pa na ako sa YouTube, but I realized ang uban dili gid kailangan og internet. So what I do is I save it at the end of the session, I save it on USB and then ako ra din i-distribute sa ila after the session. So it has helped. So even if medyo stricta na maestra, stricta ko look, pero wala estudyante nag-ingon na wala sila natabangan, wala sila na helped, wala sila na supported in terms of the instruction. And so I'd say, I'm going to provide you, I'm going to design the instruction well, but I'm going to demand also that you do your part. Maraging ana gani. Kasi medyo balance. Okay? So in the content, we have to also show to students the PowerPoint with explanation of the content. So pwede di ay nang we send to them the PowerPoint na natong explanation na to. So katong gipakita na ko kaganyan murag na ay text tapos pwede na ay na insert na video on the PowerPoint itself, no? And then so show the websites to visit, the lab tools to explore, the educational mobile app to use, and the softwares to try. So you can also, go to UPOU Commons. So meaning, kani diri kung imo magani silang gamiton, dili sila mo palag because this is commons. Pwede, dili na taani makasala sa Plagiarism Act because UP, part of the UPOU na mandate is they create resources for the faculty, for professionals to use in their instruction. So wala na violation of the intellectual property or plagiarism issue. So you can go to this site here. I have in sa PowerPoint. Again, the PowerPoint will be available for you at the Google Drive that we are going to provide. So naada to tanan inyong makita, no? So you can go to this, kanino, agriculture, environment, natural resources, entrepreneurship, education, arts and multimedia, health science. If you click that, if you find a video, you can use it in your class. You can use it part of your module. There's no intellectual property that's going to be violated because it is part of the UPOU Commons. No, pati kaning mga ICT for learning, language and communication, management, research, social science, natural science. Please do visit that so that you can also get some resources that can help you, no? Kani is an example, types of models. Ano kang gina-teach na sa math, di ba? So if you can put that in your module, it's just fine. OERs, no, technology for teaching and learning. So again, in the module, after na kay presentation sa topic, na kay mga exercises, na kay mga ingana, then you have assessment and references. So assessment, of course, as we defined it, assessment is something that you ask your students to do so that you know they have learned. So this one is actually the point here, assessment, sketch them out, is really more on developing my students to just make use of their imagination kay kung ano ni design thinking. And then, of course, we ask our students to also pitch. So please make sure that live session is scheduled way ahead of time. Dili pwede po na mag-ingon ka, I'm gonna meet you on Facebook, I'm gonna meet you on Zoom, karo ka mo ingon, ugma dayon. And di ba, usahay, may estudyante, wala sila kakita karon, kaya siya online, and all that. So what we do in my class is, usahay, at the start of the SEM, nakalatag na tanan kanus-a, ug dili siya every week. Feel man gid gyapon nila nga naa sila maisa even if once a month ra ko makita live. no? And even if wala absent siya sa live, makita gyapon niya yung maestra kay gi-record na ko ako ang session with them. No? So pwede at the start, so usually ani no, final defense o kung ano ni siya no, research, road to final defense. Nada yung mga finals. Mao ni siya ang mga dates to remember, mga deadline. So at the start na siya sa module. Tapos kanusa lang taga kita, mga live sessions, May 15, May 29. Mga ana. Kay ngano kailangan ka mag-attend kay naay live. Pero dili gina siya required gyud. No nga naa sila kanang dili bitaw nga mo absent sila pagsak na dayon because it is something na they attend a seminar so that they learn something and it's recorded. Pero kanag yung final defense, you have to show me. You do your final defense. Nadin ko yung mga kwan. I understand that we have internet connectivity issues, but I want you to schedule this way ahead because I will not have a score for you if you do not show up. So please find a way, mga ingay-ngana. So these reflections and realizations are also assessments, no? So but of course there are so many assessments. So bibo na kaya kung iro gusto sa silong mo apil og webinar. There are so many assessments. So response to discussion forum, make reflection essay, construct prototype, create designs, design a diagram, create power material, develop a program, submit a creative project. No. So provide students a complete guide of their assessment task. I'll show you ha. Dili pwede na kanang okay mag-present mo. Tapos murag walay forma ang kuan. This one is again when I'm a student. I'm a student last time, no, beginning 2019. Ito talagang ginabuhat sa ako ang UP professor, no, na kana bitawng natay assignment, major assignment man ni siya. So a major assignment is a group collaborative creative. Napagidayon unsa gid ang task, unsa ang coverage nga module, no, you notice that, and then unsa ang iyang ipabuhat, creative project, and then gidefine niya unsa ang creative project. No, kay kung dili ni siya klaro sa mga estudyante, magbalik-balik man ma'am, unsa magdaghan na din kayo mag-message sa imuha. Ba? And then ang groupings. So in my class nakaklaro pud ang mga groupings, no? Maana, unsa na topic ang i-present sa unsa nga group. And then unsang expectations, unsang advice, unsang structure, unsa gyud ang output. Diba? Your project should cover all the important analysis. And then, unsa ang product?
Hello?
Yes? Sige, atong i-mute. And then, kanusa ang due date and unsa ang feedbacking, no? And then, of course, the rubric. There, no? Peer assessments and all that. So, I will show you nga, when we wanted to assess our students or they wanted to present, wala na halos questions. Because it's in the module, no? In the module, we have already specified it, no? You've already specified everything in the module. Ba? Mga ana. So, you notice this? Ano, nagpa-pitch. I'll show you another one. Kani bago lang. Defense. Ito, no? Practical Research Summit comprises of several components. Nganong ga defense? How the final requirements will be graded has to be clear to the students. Unsang mga schedules and mga dates? Ano po yung sasubmit nila? Kanusa po, anong oras? Anong sections? Kani sa grade 11, which is similar to our college. Know and get the rubrics. So kahit yung rubrics na i-rate sa kanila naa na sa module and the guidelines, unsa ang Zoom when they're presenting, and then unsang sulod sa ilahang presentation. So that wala na yung mangutana bitaw, unsa na ma'am, mag-PowerPoint me, unsa na ma'am, maximum 10 slides, 15 slides. Sa 15 slides, napagitay suggestions, unsa pagbuak ang slides. And then talagang dili ko ga-assume. I would say, before you go on vacation, checklist of the required documents to submit. Mga ana, no? Dapat na ani. Again, get the rubric here, submit the ratings here. Mga ana. Okay, so this is an example of a rubric that I use when students are presenting their pitch. Okay, so ang tawag naman is automated rubric. Remember in the past, the rubric is nakapapel. Karon kay when the students are presenting, when their students are submitting you a recorded of their presentation, unsa man ang imong pag-rate because you have to give them a rating, right? So this is an example of our automated rubric. So sometimes the rubric is just a checklist, not necessarily ano no. So kanina I'll demo. Pag ana, pag click, na then automatic na score. Mana. But you can also not use a automated rubric if it's very complicated. There, no? So again, assessment feedback is on the module, pwedeng ing ana. No, kanang mga ngano ganitong na kuan mo na reject mga ana-ana. You can also, so basically ito yung buong sulod sa module, ba? Sige. And of course the last is the references. So always put the references. Okay? It's also acknowledging our no. But of course you notice here that we every topic na napagyapon ko pa reference. But again, I would like to emphasize this. This is the original source. So sa internet. So check siya di ano, ana, but I'm writing it sa level sa akong mga estudyante. So I'm writing it because it's plagiarism when you just copy and paste. Although you have cited, you have to define it, you have to write it, you have to explain it sa level sa student, as well as to the you write it according to how you understood. So yun po. There. So you know, so again, PowerPoint explanation and all that. So these are the look of the course module in USTP. Ano yung itsura niya. So, and then of course, we have a course guide. So, course module, ibabaw ana is course guide. Yung buong SEM. So, sometimes I'd say, dear students, welcome to a world of research statistics. Check. So, ito yung itsura ng course module ni Sir Arvin in Art Appreciation in College. So, yung ano yung dating. So, again, na dito sa ibabaw ang course details, then ang introduction, ang ILO, then ay mga topics. Tapos kanina nakita ninyo murag naman ito yung mga tao-tao because lahi ang itsura sa design thinking course module na mo sa senior high o sa College of Technology nga design thinking, but similar lang ang flow. So course guide, we also using course guide, no? Because it's a one look of all the schedules. Mga ana, kano sa mag-midterm, kano sa mag-finals, unsa gyud ang course requirement, unsa ang grading system. Guide siya sa estudyante. So ang tawag na to ani sa una is course outline. So this is an example of a course guide sa art appreciation in college. So na ay mga weeks of unsa ang mga ano. So this one is an example of a course guide in design thinking. And ana siya week 10, but of course in the past we realized kadaghan bas activity, but you notice dili tanang activity gina-submit. So again, the course module has this very important elements. You can also insert some, but kaning akong highlight yellow are the most important part of a course module. Okay, so I think I end here.